night, because we all love game nights with our family and friends. But when you play solo games, then every night can be a game night. Check us out along with other great podcasts at dicetowernetwork.com.
Every Night is Game Night, episode 109, Kickstarter Roundup featuring Expedition, End of the Trail, Sailing Towards Osiris, and Tiny Epic Zombies. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to the Every Night is Game Night podcast. I'm your host, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us. It is that time again. We have more Kickstarters delivered to our doorstep, and whenever we get lots of Kickstarters, we call the Kickstarter Roundup crew back together in various states of awakeness and sobriety and what have you. First, we have Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games back on the show. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, man. Thank you, party people. Thank you for having me, Jason.
Oh, yeah. I love the party people thing. You got to get that branding in there. We're party people.
Yeah, I think everybody hears that enough when they hear me. So
it is. All right. So, and we also have last and certainly least. I'm kidding.
Hey.
Clearly defined as least. Jeez.
At least in terms of the youngest. She's definitely the youngest person on this call. But this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, it was good to be back.
About 5 minutes ago, before I opened my mouth. Oh my God, I just put my foot in my mouth. We're not even 2 minutes into the show. So Liz, forgive me. You going to forgive me over there?
Maybe, I'll think about it.
Well, I'm going to let you talk about games, one of your favorite things. So do you forgive me now?
Of course.
There we go. All right. So we are here. We have a whole bunch of projects that are either on Kickstarter or delivered Kickstarters. You know how we roll over here. We can't help ourselves. We have terrible acquisition disorder, constantly getting, games in, big, small, all this kind of stuff. We actually are going to give you guys 2 different episodes because we have a lot of stuff to go over. Lots of little games, but games that are pretty hot. So the hottest game we're going to talk about here is Tiny Epic Zombies, which Tiny Epic, woo! We'll save that towards the end, but we all have projects. We each have one project to share. But first, before we get into the Kickstarter for today, which will be Expedition, Jeremy has been very active. This guy has not met a mic or a video camera that he does not love. So we are going to give him a little bit of space to talk about some of his projects that he has going on right now.
All right. Well, I have my blog, which is JambalayaPlaysGames.com, and then I'm on JambaPG on Twitter, and I'm on Jambalaya Plays Games on Instagram. But you may see me a lot on the Board Game Revolution Facebook group, where I have it's called BGR Live. It's on Fridays. Right now, we're doing it every Friday. It's usually bi-weekly, and I showcase multiple games, sometimes 4 or 5 games in an hour and a half, and then we also have full playthroughs. There's a lot of little events coming on. If you want to be around for the pre-Essen show, we're going to have pretty much a marathon of games that these publishers send to me. But it's just a really good way. I just want people to know where they can find me. If you see me on Crowdsurfing, I have a Dice Tower segment on there. Just a lot of little places. Come say hi. I like to see people there so I can interact with them. The more the merrier.
And Liz, we can see you at Beyond Solitaire, right?
That is right. The BeyondSolitaire.net is my review site, and I also have a YouTube channel as Beyond Solitaire. So if you want to learn how to play solo modes of games, I hopefully have it up there for you. And I also do take requests, so shoot me a message.
She's one of the best.
All right, let's get into, now that we've done a promo, you guys we are promo machines up in the air. Yeah. Got to do it. Sorry, let's get into the Kickstarter for this week. This game will either be on Kickstarter as the episode drops or about to be on Kickstarter. Jeremy and Liz requested this specifically. I've not played this game. They have played. Who is going to talk to me about the project called Expedition?
Absolutely. So Expedition is a really interesting game. It's actually been out for a while, and there's actually already been an expansion released on Kickstarter. So this new one, The Future, is adding a new set of things to the game. So what Expedition is this very low-budget, simple, just pull it out and play it RPG sort of game. It's a role-playing game, light role player, that works with an app. So all of the text and the instructions for combat and all of that are in an app that actually works really nicely. So if you're okay with app integration, then it's a good deal. But it's this sort of bare bones game where you just have the stats along the sides of the cards, very simple characters and abilities. And because there's this app with it that generates story, there's a surprising amount of stuff you can do with that. And what's extra interesting about Expedition is that the fact that it has that app means that there's a lot of flexibility in the stories that you can choose, and they actually crowdsource a lot of the stories that end up in the app for you to play. So when you download the app, there will be some starter quests that are written by the Expedition team, but you end up going into more quests that are actually written by community members and enthusiastic players of the game. So right now, there's the base game. There's an expansion called The Horror that has some monsters in it, and this new one's going to be The Future that introduces some sort of techie things.
So does the app replicate a DM? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, like it'll give you some story. Yeah, no, really it does. So it gives you the storyline, and sometimes you get to make a choice. Like I went back into the app today just to kind of see what was new, and clicked into one where it was like, you're in a bar. What do you want to do? And it's like, listen to gossip, punch someone, and you can pick.
Oh, so it has a set number of choices, and you just kind of pick stuff. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then, combat is done with a D20, and then you tell basically the app how well you did, and it'll run all the rounds of combat for you.
Sounds like Fighting Fantasy. Do you know Fighting Fantasy?
Yeah.
That sounds faintly familiar.
Is it like that? The app you can go through?
I think it's easier. So I've used the Fighting Fantasy app. I actually like the way Expedition runs better. Mm-hmm. And because there's so many little user-generated things, it tends to be a little more playful and a little bit less frustrating if you lose like a huge chunk of the way through.
Mm. Yeah, it's very quick, and the thing about it is that it really is. It's not oversold. It is sold as a game that says, "Hey, like you are resolving combat how you want, in what order you want. You can see how everything plays out." Really, the only tension you have is knowing that bad things are essentially going to happen to you if people don't press the button fast enough. And there's not really much impending doom or threat other than that. And then there's what happens basically is when you go into combat, there's a timer that ticks down. And a lot of these things are going to be resolved just by combat anyway. And you're going to, it's going to start off a timer, and then everybody looks for a card, plays that card, and then they hit their finger on there. And then after that, they must resolve and roll their, roll for whatever powers they hit. They have to go equal to or over. And they have like a surge thing, and then they have a regular thing, and some characters can buff. Oh, by the way, the classes are pretty cool. Like they're just kind of generic, but they have silly names on them. I like the silly names.
I do too.
But yeah,
what are we talking with silly names?
The game has the game has such a creative spirit to it. And
hold on, this is very important to me. If you're going to besmirch the name of Wizard, I want to know what's going on here. What are these silly classes?
I wish I had my backpack because I could. Oh, they're ridiculous. They are so ridiculous.
Like the pasta mancer, like that old.
Yeah, it's just they're just so like they're so. It just basically just says, hey, let your hair down. Let's just play with this. This is an RPG, but we can play it in 20 minutes. We can play it in 40 minutes. You don't need to be an RPG master. You're only going to roll this one die. Everybody's going to roll the die. Very, very easy stuff. Like, you're literally picking, like, ranged, magic, music. Like, it's literally, like, set cards.
Right.
And then you just make a fake hand and play one card every time. You get through your 6 cards, you shuffle them all over again. It's not... The part of the game that really sells the game is the story in the game. And
absolutely.
The stories they're pretty... They're okay. Some of them are super cheesy. Literally, there's one about cheese.
I like that one,
actually. You confused my brain there.
Well, if you're going to do battle with something, it should be something you can kill and eat, right?
Yeah, it's over stinky cheese.
So when we were talking about
so there's like a lot of lighthearted stuff there. I think there's even like a mission about Shia LaBeouf, like at the bottom of a dungeon. Like there's ridiculous stuff. Man.
Yeah, and I think there was somebody who's like redoing The Princess Bride on there.
Yeah, so it's just, there's a lot of involvement. I like that. Can it get a little too corny? Sure. But what they're doing is with each one of these these decks and stuff is they're just trying to like expand it and expand their ideas, but expand the community's ideas. And this is for me, like, especially why I started this blog and why I'm doing this stuff. It's like that kind of spirited stuff is what I want people to see and enjoy, because we don't have to go into these super thematic games to enjoy things. And this is a solo game. This can be played, at max player count. There's no harm, no foul in this. Mm-hmm. And that's why it just allows everybody to play. It doesn't pull anybody away from the table. It doesn't overwhelm anybody. And once you go a little bit deeper than that, maybe you're going too deep. Like, seriously, that's the whole idea of the game.
Yeah, it's truly an RPG light. Like, I've literally been able to pull it out of my bag, pull out an iPad, get a couple friends together. It's truly one of those games that you can get and just start playing.
So I haven't played it, but that sounds like fun. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about the community involvement. I'm not, it's like the early days of Wikipedia, right? You kind of didn't know what you were getting. You don't know what the editing process is. There could be like stuff in there that's like, I'm not afraid of like adult stuff because that doesn't seem like the spirit of the game, but like the stuff that's like stupid and corny and, I'm a little bit afraid of that, but it sounds like, you kind of have to go in there knowing you're going to see like something about Carrot Top or some stupid thing like that.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, they have some, they have some stuff that's not so great on there, but for the most part, what I've seen, especially the longer ones, they're well done. And I actually, I might go ahead and go through one of these tomorrow. I'm going to be home tomorrow. I might go through a couple more of these tomorrow because I just, I like games like this so I can sit down in front of my TV and just play. There's no rush, no hurry. I can wait between, combat choices and all that other stuff. I can just wait and then get right back into it. It's just such a lighthearted game. And I picked it up and I played with some people at work. And one of my guys, he's just kind of like I test everything on him because he's like sort of becoming a gamer now. And we played that at lunch. He was just like, man, that was really good. He's like, I had no context. We laid this out. We picked characters. We played. That was less than a half an hour. I was like, yep, that's a good sign. Cool. To me, that's a good sign because sometimes he doesn't even care. So he just indulges me. So yeah.
Yeah, just it is a bit of a gamble to use the sort of crowdsourced quests. Some of them are good. Some of them are, heavy on the type. But I mean, if you kind of like that Wild West, let's go just see what other people have made experimental thing, then Expedition's great.
Cool. Yeah. So that is Expedition. Like I said, if it's not on Kickstarter right now, it'll be on Kickstarter very, very soon. We're talking October-ish, maybe into November. You never really know. It's a smaller publisher. Schedules change. So go ahead and take a look out for that one if that one sounds good. So let us talk about 3 other games that are in our grubby little hands that you can get right now that are not on Kickstarter anymore. We got them delivered. And I think that we're happy with, on some level, with all 3 of these. And hopefully you'll be too. So we're going to start off with Jeremy. And he is going to set us sailing. We're going to go sailing, Jeremy?
Yeah, why not? This is sailing.
Why not? I got nothing else to do.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's a hard sell, man.
This one is called Sailing Towards Osiris. It is designed by W. David McKenzie and published by our friends at Daily Magic Games. Daily Magic Games are the publishers of the Valeria line of games and some of the games y'all might enjoy.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm kind of big fans of their stuff. And this one is actually going to be in that same line of me being a fan of. So basically, Sailing Towards Osiris is set in a time where the pharaoh has died and his little funeral barge is going through this, this river, the Nile, and it's basically broken up into 4 sections. So the game has 4 rounds to it, and what you're doing is players are playing these governors or regions or whatever, and they're trying to basically set themselves up and pay homage so that people can, basically believe in them because they've done such a great job, and then they become the new one by scoring the most points. So what you're doing in this game is basically each round, players will draw these kind of laborers out of a bag. There'll be regular laborers, and then there'll be ones that are master laborers. And the difference is that the regular laborers gather regular resources, and the other ones can grab resources from anywhere on the map. And it's kind of, each round is restricted to that one area for each of the rounds. So what happens? Basically, what you're doing is trying to gather resources and build monuments. So basically, you can place a worker and gather resources. This game, actually, every round has a certain amount of resources that you can have. So you kind of get capped out, and players have to actually at some point start spending these resources. Otherwise, you run out of some for the round. And then what you're doing is building these monuments. And monument building is like a separate turn because players are taking alternate turns. And once you do this, you start placing them around the map, and you're trying to place them in kind of like basically in a pattern. You can do it in 3s, 2s, 4s, and then you score points. And you can't build ahead, but what happens is as the game goes along, you start trying to build back and forth behind you so you can get things lined up. Another cool mechanic about this game is how cards are used. So when you build a monument on a city, or when you go to a city, you have these cards, city cards. And you take them, and they basically have little bit of powers on them, but they also have things you can trade. You get 2 of those cards, you keep 1, and then you can actually have someone else barter for the other one. So you can actually say, hey, I'm going to give you this card, and since resources are so valuable, you'll say, hey, I'll give you this card. What will you give me in return? And it's kind of an interesting little way of kind of getting everybody to interact on off turns. I really like that idea. That's pretty much it. It's a very, very streamlined worker placement game. It's got enough tension in what they do when the player count gets lower. They start adding alternate players, holding up spaces. I have not played it at 2, so I wouldn't be able to talk about that. But I have played it at 3, and it works just fine, and above that as well. So it works at all levels. I would say the actual biggest negative is it might be like too streamlined. I don't know how to say that, but it's fun. It doesn't wear out as welcome, but it's not going to blow you away. I like the game. Yeah, I like the game. I would play with anyone. I have it in my collection. I'm going to keep it there. But I wonder, will it hold up the test of time? The biggest part for me that's always fun, and Daily Magic Games does this all the time, is they have negotiation in their games, and I love that. I love that. Like that barter negotiation, I love it. Merchants of Araby did that, and basically Merchants of Araby is pretty much like, all right, let's put these cards down. What are we doing here? What are we trading? So.
Yeah, no, there's a reason I'm a solo player. No.
Yeah.
It's funny because Daily Magic Games, a lot of their games do have solos. So, check out the variant section. I'm pretty sure someone's going to crack the code here at some point.
So the rock cards are really interesting. They break the rules like that. And if you play that card, a rock card, nobody else can play that card for that round. There's just a lot of little combos there. There's a little bit of area influence. Like you can't place monuments next to the harvesters, or 2 harvesters can't be next to, they have a little bit of that too. So you have to kind of think on the fly when you place certain things in certain places. That's a thing. So there's a little bit, like I said, it's a good introductory Euro, kind of light medium.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for that. Worker placement is definitely one of those things that is it's very gateway-ish, like Stone Age, good gateway game, Viticulture, good next step game. Lords of Warscape is actually the game that got me into gaming in general. Like, it's just easy to place a worker, do a thing. And it sounds like this distinguishes itself by having that negotiation piece and also like that building piece to it. So, you guys are welcome to check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so now we are going to get to a game that both Liz and Jeremy were kind of blowing up. We have this little private chat thing, and they were blowing up about this game. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to talk about this one, right? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, this sounds like a lot of fun, too. So we're going to bring Liz back in here, and she's going to talk about End of the Trail, which was designed by Mike Hinson and published by Elf Creek Games.
All right, so End of the Trail it's just a fun little lightweight game. And it's got kind of a cute little Old West theme where you're prospecting for gold, and you're prospecting these different terrain tiles that are lined up in these rows that require different amounts of travel. And so you're going to be prospecting on these and laying claim to tiles, but other people don't know what you've claimed. So there's an element of memory to it and of knowing where things are, whether you claim them or not, whether you want to explore a tile again. But on top of that, there's also these cards that have bidding and movement and special action aspects. So a lot of it is these multi-use cards that you have to figure out how to deploy to, their best ends. So some of the cards will let you move further. Some of them give you special abilities to check tiles out and not tell anyone about it. But they also do things like each card has a dollar value in one of the corners, and to bid for more cards, you actually have to have an auction at the beginning of the round. So you can choose to use cards to buy more cards. You can choose to use cards for their actions. And then the other thing is that all the cards have normal card suits on them. And another element of the game is trying to bank the right cards to get the best poker hand at the end of the game, because that also has rewards. So you spend a lot of your time just trying to think about, okay, how do I get the most gold by doing these different things, and which angle do I want to pursue right now, and how is this card going to be used the best for me? What is this other person hoarding? Do I want to bid on this card and screw them up? I will say that there is a solo mode. It's got some AI. The solo mode's it's kind of tacked on. It is definitely a game that's about bluffing and bidding, and I think that it really requires other people to max it out. But with other humans, it's really fun.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback this now. This is one of the first, I think this is the first preview I ever written. You can probably read it. Yeah. Yeah, I am embarrassed by it because it's probably just the rule book. But so
no one's read this rule book yet. I could just rip this off.
just rip that. Anyway, the reason why I like this game, it does have it has interesting layered decisions, and Liz kind of she basically talked about that. It's just there's a lot of little layers to that. And you can win the game without winning the hand. If you win the final hand, you actually get to place your fourth and final piece. Everybody gets to place 3 or up to 3, because some people make mistakes and don't. And you can basically place your fourth one. And, of course, when you place your fourth one, you'll be placing it in a place that would be most advantageous, even though it's going to be the lowest one available. You can still eke a victory out. And I think that's kind of interesting, because some people would think, oh, man, if I don't win the hand, I lose the game. Those have point values. The tiles have values. There's a lot of different ways you can pull off the game. And I think it's just a smart game overall. Now, is it going to win any awards? Is it going to blow you away? Are you going to constantly think about playing it? No. But I would tell you that this game grows on you as you play it more. I was talking to BJ over at Board Game Gumbo, and he said the exact same thing. I'm so glad he kind of filled that blanket for me. The more you play it, the more you get into it. And that's for poker players and non-poker players.
How about you, Liz? Did you have that feeling of that game growing on you?
I think that, it's a decent game. It's not going to be one of my perennial favorites or anything. It's a charming game. It's quick. It is what it is for me.
All right, so that was End of the Trail. So you guys can take a look at that. Lots of little entry-level card games. Speaking of little card games, little big card games, we're going to get to one right now. Tiny Epic. So that is a franchise that a lot of people know and love. I think it's like a scheduled thing once a week in all the different board game groups. What's your favorite Tiny Epic game? Go. It's like, look at the other threads.
Yeah, look at the other
thread
ones.
pops up every week. So the latest installment of Tiny Epic just shipped, and it shipped early. So to Gamelin Games' credit. So this is Tiny Epic Zombies, designed by Scott Alms, published by Gamelin Games. This is number 6. We are getting 6. We have 6 of these. We have Tiny Epic Mechs, which is the 7th, and they have many more of these to come. This is a money maker for them. Okay, so what is Zombies all about? This is a survival game. So it is where different ordinary people get stuck in a mall during a zombie apocalypse, and they have to kind of survive and do their thing. By ordinary people, you're going to be playing things like the mall cop and the teenager and just the janitor, or, and they're going to have these little powers, but they're not like they blow your world away. They're just like there. And the art is very cute and all that kind of stuff. So you'll be playing these kind of normal people. And so how this game plays out, I think if people have seen Tiny Epic, I'll get to that in a second. Like Tiny Epic at this point is what it is, especially with the item meeples. So ever since the item meeples came in, I was very excited for them at the beginning, but I'm definitely noticing a trend of like, okay, every game has meeples, every game has the items, and because you have the meeples, it's going to be a certain type of game. You're going to be moving the meeples from place to place to place and doing things. So in this game, you're playing, it's kind of like a little bit tower defense-ish in that you have a central courtyard. And then on the outer edge, you have your stores, and the stores are these cards, and this cards have 3 different spaces that you can go to. So you are going to be on your turn. Actually, before I even get to that, it has a lot of different modes. You can play fully competitive, you can play fully cooperative, you can play one versus many, you can play team versus team. It's like, wow, there's a lot of modes in here. I think the optimal way to play is the one versus many, where one player is playing the zombies, and then everybody else is cooperating and doing stuff. So then if you're playing the people, what you're going to be doing, is you're going to be going from room to room to room and accomplishing these missions. The thing about this game is that you always have to move. Always, always, always move. There's no camping. There's no like, okay, I'm in a space and I'm where I need to be and I'm going to camp. But no, you got to keep on moving. The game forces you to do that. And as you're moving, you're going to be killing zombies. Zombie killing is like Dead of Winter is automatic, but you could get like wounded and whatever. You get guns, and while you're kind of along the way, you're going to be accomplishing missions. So the missions are modular, so it changes up every game. So sometimes you might be discovering a cure, which is recovering little vials. You could be escorting an army. Yes. Bring the army into the courtyard, save the day. You're doing different things depending on what the objectives are. It's a cooperative game. We've played cooperative games, right? It's like, take your actions, move your stuff, and accomplish objectives. All right, so the zombie player, it plays out a little bit different than a game like this. So, like, if you're thinking one versus many, you're thinking of like, Spectre Ops or Fury Dracula, where you're like actively moving a character. In this game, you're basically being the monster AI. So, the zombies are going to spawn. They don't move. They're just going to spawn all over the place. So if you manage to get a lot of zombies on the board, there's going to be a lot of them there. And what you're going to be doing is at the beginning of every player turn, or like before players go, and you go in between every player, you're going to give them a card, and you're going to guess where they're going to go, depending on what objective you think they're trying to achieve. So if you manage to, guess that they're going to go to the purple room, and then at the end of the player turn, they're going to reveal it. Oh my God, I went to the purple room. They're going to have zombies just spawning in their face, and you get to kind of trigger a power. It's good. Like, it's good when you guess where they're going to go. You don't guess where they're going to go. You get to spawn zombies anyway, but it's not going to be as impactful. So that's kind of what it is. Like as a competitive player, you're playing like this, the basic, game where you're accomplishing missions and taking actions and moving around. As a zombie player, you're playing a very different game where you're trying to really reach into the person's head. You have a hand of cards, and trying to get zombie spawns in their face. And if you kill enough players, you win as a zombie. And if you are if you're the players, if you accomplish the missions, you win. That's how you win. There's no points or anything like that in this game. So that's really it. I mean, I can go into the chapter and verse. Of course, there's item meeples. You get to do a chainsaw and axe. It's a zombie movie. So, you get all the familiar zombie tropes. I don't know if you guys are zombie familiar, but I think of like Shaun of the Dead, where all the, they're just like constantly like shooting things and hacking things open and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And the zombies just like there to be slaughtered. Okay, I know you guys have not played this.
Actually, confession, I have never played a Tiny Epic game at all.
So, okay, I'm glad that you're on the call then. I'm sure there's a reason why you have not played Tiny Epic. Why have you not played any Tiny Epic?
Honestly, I said I just haven't. I'm like constantly scatterbrained and looking for new games to play, and I've just never spent the money on one. I just haven't.
It's like nothing. These games are like $30, $25.
Yeah, but I keep getting cleaned out. Chip Theory Games is cleaning me out, and like all these, I always save up for those big purchases, and then
that's true.
I look at small games, and I'm like, well, I should probably save that for the next like big thing I go in on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jason, how many games? Yeah, guess how many games I've owned of Tiny Epic?
I'm gonna say 4.
Yep. Guess how many I own now?
0.
Yeah.
Oh!
I like this. Tiny Epic Galaxies is a really fun game. Mm-hmm. It's actually, if you're becoming a solo gamer, I would say that's one of the best games to start your solo gaming, pursuit. Teaches really good AI. It has some good AI and difficult AI that's actually worth, going at for a while. But what happens with me, and then I realized when Tiny Epic Quest hit, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I love the heart of what it's trying to do. The design is solid. And it's not hard to play. It's just that in practice, it only has so much oomph to it. It has like that big intro and like, yes, I have this game. It's such a cool concept. And, I like this small box thing. And now it's getting so much bigger in what it's trying to do that it's not, it's too epic. Like it's too epic for what it's trying to do. Like Tiny Epic Quest, you put like 18 cards out.
Yep.
You got to move your little guy around. People are moving the cards around. Then you're putting these little item meeples on, and you're trying to figure out who's wearing where. You got Falcon card, like all these cards. I know what they're trying to do. Like even with this new one, I was excited. I even contacted them to even take a preview because I'm always willing to try, but I always find myself going back to this is going to be so like, without lack of a better term, like hit it and quit it. It's going to be quick. Like I'm going to play it and then I'll have played it. I don't want to keep it.
Right.
And
all right, so I have a question. Are item meeples actually fun to deal with, or are they irritating?
No.
I have to know.
They're just cute. They're so cute for squad goals. Like I take squad goal pictures with them, but I got over that too. I got over that too. It is. Okay. That idea is fun. It is so fun. It's so hard to resist everything that's going on in there. It is. It's hard to resist it.
They're fiddly. They get lost very easy. I have requested multiple times to have my item meeples replaced because I have big fat hands and I have no idea what happens. But that's definitely the negative. I think on the positive end, because of where they're situated, these are gateway games. These are games that you're going to show to your family, and you're going to show them at a game night. You're going to show them at like a meetup or something, and there's a pop. So like in Defenders, they have this little dragon familiar meeple that goes on your. It's like a thing. It is so cool. I love it.
It's really cool. It's cool.
And like,
but I just feel like that's the thing. I don't. Now that I've gone, titles deep into this, I feel like I'm buying the sheen, and I'm not buying like. And I hate to say it, it's not like I don't have okay games and good games sitting around here. It's just that like I really know what their model is. I really know what they make. I have a little bit of fun with it, and then I pass it along. And I just don't know if I want to keep taking that $20, $30 dive. I'd rather just try with another, publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And
so this is me. Like with Tiny Epic Quest, I actually really like, but not only as a solo. Like I love the solo puzzle. It's a straight up puzzle. It's the only way distilled, to do it, really. It's this pure distilled essence of a puzzle, and I just I dig it. I could see why people don't. It's very, very puzzly. Take the sheen off. It's very dry, but I like the way the puzzle works out, so I'm cool with Tiny Epic Quest. So this game, I think all the stuff that people are saying about Tiny Epic, like, oh, it's too cramped, it's too this, it's trying to do too much for how little everything is. I felt it here. So the rooms are, like I mentioned before, how each card is divided into 3 rooms, and at least one of the rooms has some sort of text on it. That text is small. That is not Tiny Epic text. That is just tiny. And if I have glasses and I have to lift up the card, which means taking off the pieces and lifting up the card, or like bending over. The physicality of it isn't very comfortable. It's. And the item meeples here, I guess I'm not a zombie person. Like I wasn't jazzed about putting a crossbow on my item meeple, whatever it is. So like that's kind of like the cramped nature of it. I felt it more here. So like people complain about that with Galaxies. That Town Vassal's big thing. It's like, okay, it's a good game. It's way too cramped. And I didn't feel it because I thought it was such a good game, and I like that. I like the small I like the portableness of it because I can take it anywhere. So that's cool. Yep. That was very cool with me. But in this game, I felt it. In this game, I felt there's just not a lot of space to do stuff. Yeah. It just felt like they tried to put a lot in a little. And then, so that's like one thing. And then the other thing, and this goes to your point, Jeremy, about how much the game does. So in Tiny Epic Games, and Guardians had this especially, and this one here too, there's a lot of characters. You have like over like 14, 15, 16 characters. They each have powers, and the objectives are modular. And so there's a lot of modularity in it. So what that does is it creates these corner cases where, you know, the rule set is very simple. The books are very small, and like the basic rules are pretty clear enough, but you get to these corner cases and you just have no idea how to adjudicate these things. So like, you know, when you're escorting the army, like the army piece goes from the outer edge of the board to the middle, it's like, okay, use an action to move them. Okay, do I have to be next to the army person? Does the room have to be empty? You know, or they have to get to the courtyard. What counts as the courtyard? Is the courtyard the whole middle of the square? Or is it the middle section of the middle card? And it doesn't, like, if they did rules for all of these little edge cases and all these little things, the rule book could be twice as big, which is, then it's not Tiny Epic anymore. It's just big. So I guess it's falling into these traps, the Tiny Epic traps. And like what I was saying before about the item equals, it's the game, like by devoting themselves to like this concept, and it's making them a lot of money. So I understand what's going on there. The games are taking a certain type of shape. And, you know, a lot of some people are, and Jeremy, I guess, is on this boat of the way the games are taking shape. It's just not like, you know, I wish they would just kind of like do something, you know, go in a totally different direction. That's not on item equals and give that a try. So, well, you know, like a Tiny Epic Roll and Ride or something.
Well, the Heroes of Air, Land, and Sea was like the big one, you know, like.
Yes.
And you know what? I am so down with that. Like, I am so into that. You know, the price point's huge, but like, from what I hear, it's good. I'm so down with that. Break the box open. Let's make it epic, you know, like. Let's do that, because they can make that design. It's a proof of concept. Like, if you can do something that small and make that, well, let's just do, you know, like a lot of other companies do, and just expand the box and say, hey, we're going to make, you know, a smaller than medium sized box, like kind of like a King Domino's size box, and they're going to call that their big box. And it's not a big box, you know, and they make a bigger game, and that's fine. You know, it's just, now they're doing too much, doing the most. They're doing the most right now. And I don't know if it's always going to generate money, but is it going to be memorable? And I think back to before all this kind of superimposed stuff of just like the galaxies in like the Beyond, that Beyond the Black, those are fantastic. Like together, oh man, wow. But I mean, Defenders is fine. You know, it just, as it went along the line, I was just like, oh, man, I don't know where they're going. And I was so excited for Epic Quest, and then I realized that was my breaking point. I just can't. That was my
I know exactly where they're going.
See, like, I don't know why you can't just graduate from Tiny Epic to Epic and not worry about it.
I mean, it's a brand at this point,
money.
You know?
Like, I know.
And they're cycling through all the different popular things. Like, I actually backed Mechs, not because I was wowed by zombies. Like, well, Zombie's solid. Like, it's a solid game. You'll have fun with it. I just had the issues of being cramped and some of the corner cage stuff. But like, you know, in terms of the gameplay, I probably should emphasize that, you know, it does work. I mean, the different objectives are fun. The different ways in which you can kind of pull some cool combos off, where it's like, you know, you go someplace, you shoot your gun a bunch of times, but you time it so that you pick up the item that gives you more bullets and you can shoot more people, and you get this dice roll, and the dice roll kind of like lets you combo things. There's a lot of cool chaining that can happen when you're a character. And solo mode is just basically you playing the cooperative game with two players, so that's not a huge deal. So I'm not as jazzed about the Overlord, so I think they're a little bit limited in terms of like giving the cards, but it's a cool take on Overlord, and it's very simple and very easy to understand. So I just, so it's a solid core, but I kind of am leaning a little bit towards where Jeremy is, where it's like, okay, am I going to get this to the table again? Is there enough there, even with all the variability, does the variability even like add replayability, or is it just add overhead?
Does it matter? Right. Does it matter?
Right. So here's a question for me as somebody who has not played one of these. Is it worth it for me to just at least try one? Because I look at them and I just don't feel that chemistry. You know how you see a board game and you just want it and you're gonna get it? I just haven't looked at a Tiny Epic game and felt that. Should I try one or just not even bother?
I think Tiny Epic Galaxies is a really, like I said, it's a really good game for people who are starting solo modes. The actual normal game is, it's not going to be the best as far as challenge, but the harder modes they're pretty intense. And I really respected that. I played the heck out of that game. And I will ride for it. The Beyond the Black, same thing. I will ride for those. Those are two really, really, really good titles. But, outside of that, I mean, good, okay. And then I was really off the wagon. Now, when I look at this new one, I think to myself, how would I talk myself into purchasing it? I'm over the fact that they make cool meeples. I like mech battles, but I can't even look at my game crew and say, hey, let's play a mech battle game. They don't look at stuff like that all the time. Now, the solo mode, it wasn't announced right away, I believe. So I was like, now what is that solo mode going to be like? Is it going to be fun? It is an arena battle game. I'm not sure. So it's just like it's not enough to make me just go, all right, take my money. I'm back. I'm all back in.
Well, I like mechs. I love mechs versus minions. I like Robo Rally well enough. Robo Rally is a little bit cutthroat for me, so give me a little bit more of an open map when it comes to my Robo Rally. But I mean, I'm in just for that. But I'm not. Put it this way: Zombies did not carry me forward to the next one. Zombies is cool. I'm happy to play, but it's not going to be something that I'm going to be shouting over the rooftops for. We're sorry, guys. We're talking about the games that we get, and not every game is going to be, this over the moon enthusiastic. I think the strongest game we talked about today is a Kickstarter, which is Expedition. That's the way it goes. So I think that'll be it for this episode. Next week, we're going to get into some pretty interesting games, at least one that Jeremy's over the moon for, and one that I'm over the moon for. Liz, you're probably under the moon for your game, but we'll see.
We'll find out.
We will find out. That will be coming next week. So thank you guys very much, Liz and Jeremy. That was fun as always.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks. Happy gaming.
Okay, so if you want to hit us up, we have ENGN_podcast on the Twitter. We have the Every Night is Game Night Facebook group. Liz and Jeremy are both active members of that group. They pop in whenever I post something in there, or part of the community when a community member pops open with a thread and everything. Like you saw, we did the preview series a little while ago. We had a listener suggest a preview series and we're able to make that happen. So go ahead and tell us what you want to hear. We will try our best to respond to you. Maybe not in October. I have a little bit of a life event in October. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But definitely moving forward, we're going to try to be as accessible as we can. Liz and Jeremy, thank you. We will be back next week. Till next time, as Anthony would say, grab a solo game off of that shelf and let's make every night a game night.